Hey everybody. So this video is to explain the explosive Axton build. Now the best class mod to use with this build is the legendary soldier class mod. I did play around with the blue class mods that increase steady, but the additional gun damage that this mod provides trumps the damage that you would get from having extra points in steady. So it does the way it's built is similar to the legendary soldier, but there's a couple of main differences. The main differences are that you want to prioritize maxing out steady, battlefront, and you need a point in do or die, which we do actually have in the legendary Axton build anyway, or legendary soldier build, I should say. So the reason why these three are priorities is because steady, battlefront, and do or die increase your grenade damage and your rocket launcher damage. So steady there, you've got 25% grenade damage, 20% rocket damage. Do or die is 10% each. And then Battlefront is an additional 30% grenade damage while your turrets are deployed. Now, another difference is that we're going to unlock nuke here. So you're better off having two nukes instead of slag and double gun. So because we don't have slag on the turret, you're going to want to max out expertise so you can swap between your weapons really quickly. Um, the, Given how much you're going to be slagging enemies to deal that additional 300% damage, it's worth maxing this one out. So any additional gun damage you can actually reap will increase your rocket launcher damage. But look, at the end of the day, the only extra boost you have for your rocket launcher damage is that 30% between steady and do or die. So your guns are still going to hit hard enough that you should rely on your guns just as much as you rely on your rocket launchers. So the other way you can get some additional damage is by equipping an explosive damage relic. I don't think equipping, yeah, I dare say explosive damage relic is the way to go. The other option here though is to have an additional shield capacity with some resistances, so a Skin of the Ancients could be a good alternative. Now when it comes to your grenade, do have a look at the initial grenade damage here. Now an implosion grenade or a fastball, something that hits hard will get better bonuses from that, what do we say, 65% grenade boosted grenade damage when your turrets are out. That'll only apply to the grenade damage on the scorecard. It won't apply to, say, if you're using a chemical sprayer, each burst of that chemical sprayer will not get any benefits, just that initial explosion. Now, the other thing is if you want to use a rocket launcher as your primary weapon, you need a way to generate rockets. They're hard to find in the game, so you're going to have to generate them yourself. There's two ways to go about this. One is the Big Boom Blaster Shield, which anytime you take damage, has a chance to throw out a booster that when you pick it up, it'll give you some shields, give you a grenade, and give you a rocket. The other way to go about it is to use a sham shield. Where are you? Right there. So you can shoot your feet with certain weapons. It'll absorb it as rockets, and by doing this, you can turn pistol ammo or assault rifle ammo into rockets. So that's your two ways you can go about generating your rocket ammo. Some rocket launchers that you can use, Northfleet. One thing about the Northfleet though is if I'm using a corrosive Northfleet and I'm shooting something that's not vulnerable to corrosive, it doesn't really do anything. So the damage will depend on the vulnerabilities here. This is where I find explosive rocket launchers are a little bit more consistent. There's not a lot of enemies that are actually resistant to explosive damage. I'm thinking about the Scorpions in Sir Hamlock's DLC, and also we've got the Marines in the Captain Lilith DLC, or sorry, the Fight for Sanctuary DLC. So other options, you've got the Mongol, so Nukem, Butterboom. These are all really good options. Some of these are harder to get than others. Nukem's obviously the easiest one to get. If you have the Torg DLC, you can purchase this from vendors. Really easy to farm if you want to farm it too. So that's probably the way to go. Now, the other thing to consider is we're increasing our rocket damage and our grenade damage. Now, our rocket launcher damage and our grenade damage. Some guns, such as the Peak Opener, and also the Kerblaster, wherever that's gone. Where's that one? Here we go, the Kerblaster. These things will shoot rockets. They won't actually get the bonuses to rocket launcher damage because they're not rocket launchers, they're assault rifles, but they will get bonuses to the grenade damage on their secondary explosion. So they actually work quite nicely with this build. It's not, there's always certain guns like the Unkempt Herald which will absolutely cap the damage rating, but it's kind of nice to use weapons that you can't really utilize on other characters. So for this, I'm using the Peak Opener as the better version between that and the Kerblaster, but I'm not. Having said that, it's still the better option, but I'm not actually getting the damage bonus from that explosive damage relic. So just be mindful, Kerblaster will get that damage bonus, but the Peak Opener, because of its fire rate, will absolutely obliterate enemies. That, and it drops 3 grenades instead of 1. So there's multiple bonuses on the Peak Opener, so it's still a better option even without the bonus damage from that relic. What else can I tell you about this? So still prioritize gun damage. You still want to be dealing damage with this build. Your survivability comes from points in willing and preparation, pressure to a lesser extent. Phalanx shield will keep you alive as well, but it's mainly your shields and the shield upkeep that will keep you alive. There is one other thing I need to tell you. Avoid putting points in forbearance. Now, forbearance for this build, if you're using the Big Boom Blaster shield, and I'm only talking about if you're using the Big Boom Blaster shield, avoid putting points in forbearance. If you're using the Sham, you absolutely need points in forbearance. So the difference being that when you have damage over time applied to your character, each tick of damage has a chance to shoot out a booster shield. So actually having damage over time effects on your character is more beneficial than not having them when you have a booster shield attached or equipped, sorry. But if you have the Sham, it only has a low shield capacity, so you need to clear that damage over time as quickly as you can so that it can start charging again. So there's a difference there. The Big Boom Blaster shield actually has a fair bit of capacity, so it can wear the damage over time and it'll generate your grenades and your rockets. The Sham can't do that. So just be mindful of whether you put points into forbearance or not will depend on what shield you are using. We still have a little bit of points into healthy to keep us alive, but yeah, just max out your gun damage as much as possible. Steady, do or die, or battlefront, key skills to this build if you want to be specializing with rocket launchers and grenades. A grenade like the Firestorm is really handy for this one as well because it regenerates, it repopulates itself, and it still does a significant amount of damage. If you're interested in this build, check out the gameplay footage. It'll show this build wreaking a little bit of havoc. It's not as strong as some other Axton builds, but I mean, between this and the Legendary Soldier, I'd probably just go straight out gun damage. The rocket launchers, because of their ammo capacity, it doesn't work as well as I feel like it probably should. If you want to specialize in rocket launchers, maybe looking at playing as a Necromancer might be a better option for you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this build. Enjoy it.